how would you react if you found a nasty article about yourself online? What if it wasn't written by a human, but a robot? That's exactly what happened to a man in the United States, and he's sounding the alarm on the future of artificial intelligence. For Tech 24, Peter O'Brien joins me now. So, Peter, tell me about what's happened to Scott Shambaugh.
So he is a engineer from Denver, and he voluntarily helps maintain a database which is used by lots of software engineers around the world. Now, they've got a policy which is to not let content created entirely by AI onto the platform because it disrupts all the good human work that's being done on there. And because AI agents are proliferating, these are essentially robots that people install on their computers and give them a set of commands and give them access to the internet that can sort of run and do their own thing even while their kind of owners are asleep or away. He's had to fend off quite a few submissions from these robots. So he did this a couple of weeks ago, and the AI agent in question the next day wrote a hit piece about him. Take a look.
The AI, which has a blog, has posted a 1,000-word rant on its blog, calling me out by name and defaming my character. So it calls me prejudiced against AI and a hypocrite, and says that I'm, acting out of ego and fear of AI. But the craziest thing is that it has gone on the internet and collected my personal information and, compiled this dossier of who I am, what I've done, and used that information, combined it with made up information, and used that to write this narrative. Imagine that when I go to my next job, HR looks at my application and gives it to ChatGPT and says, "Hey, go check this guy out." And so ChatGPT goes and searches for me, finds this, and says, "Oh, this is a controversial guy, and you don't want to hire him." And so the words have impact, even though there's no one behind the screen writing them.
So would you say that this is a threat that ordinary people face, or is it more the kind of people working in software who are mostly exposed to these kind of threats?
Most people's experience with AI is in a chat interface like ChatGPT, and everything that happens there stays within the chat box, and you have to tell it what you want. These AI agents are much more autonomous than that. People are installing them on their personal computers and setting them up with instructions and connecting to the internet and giving them tools to post content to the internet, send emails, and run programs. And then they walk away for days at a time and come back later to see what's happened. It's very much still in the experimental phase. And I think what happened to me here was someone's experiment. But by all accounts, this was not planned and it was accidental. And if anything, that shows just how easy it is for the next iteration to allow a bad actor to scale this up and impact not just one person who's pretty well prepared to deal with it, but thousands.
Okay, so Peter, it seems he's saying that these AI robots can be a threat to us.
Yeah, essentially, yes, believe it or not. He's saying that if one of them can harass him, influence people, defraud him even, then what's to say that this can't happen at a greater scale? And he pointed to a tipping point being the release of something called OpenClaw. So this is a piece of software that's free to access, and it's what has allowed people to use these AI agents more cheaply and more easily than before. That's why we had the proliferation of AI on that social media site Maltbook recently in the news. Now, I'll just remind viewers that it still remains very expensive in order to run one of these things and do complex tasks on it. But Shambaugh says it's getting cheaper all the time, and he says there's nothing to stop a bad actor with the means to do so from letting these things run riot and doing their dirty work and, blackmailing people, defrauding them, influencing them, whatever you like.
And do you think people really can fall for AI writing? Because there are some clues you can look for, right?
There are, but I think this story itself is a good example of what can happen with AI, because Ars Technica, which is quite a respected technology news outlet, they covered this story and they used AI to help them write the article, and AI came up with quotes that they attributed to Shambaugh that he never said. So he complained, they retracted the article and they apologized. And actually, Shambaugh says this is an example where humans remained in the loop, thankfully, and they were able to apologize and right their wrongs. But if you've got AI agents acting autonomously and doing whatever they like, well, there are more risks involved.
And what can be done about all of this?
Yeah, that's the big question. Obviously, defining who's responsible ultimately for these agents is a big challenge. In the US, a lot of conversation has been around why don't we have more regulation on this? In the EU, we do actually. We have the AI Act, which is coming into force and should crack down on high-risk autonomous AI. But these things are developing quickly, perhaps too quickly for regulators at this point.
Thank you so much, Peter. That's Peter O'Brien, and that's it for this edition of Tech 24.